Electrocast.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Wesley demands.
Now, this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you. I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or whatever movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up? Welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host, Iris, and I'm here with my older brother,
Wesley.
Today, we are talking a movie from 2022, available on Hulu, the prequel?
Nope.
To a much beloved series, Prey.
Predator 5.
This is not a prequel?
Prative Americans.
Parade of Americans? Really?
Yep. Mulan.
Okay, this takes place in the 18th century. How is this not a prequel?
It is. I'm just saying, it's also Predator 5 for all its prayness. Brave.
Brave?
Brave. Well, Brave's pretty good.
I did pause to think that she kind of went all Moana on this and was like, what's beyond the reef? And like all decided to go on her hunting adventure on her own.
This is where we differ and why we do a podcast, because I have Mulan and Brave firmly for these like lone woman sallies forth kind of thing, and you always always throw Mulan in there, which I neglect.
Mulan and Moana, that's my jam.
Yep.
Okay, can you just bring us up to speed on the Predator thing?
Predator, now available at orwhatevermovies.com.
What's your metric for a successful sequel or prequel?
It has to expand upon the themes without retreading and also adding something substantive to. Move the story forward with anchor points for the source material without making it cheesy throwback.
Okay, and so on that basis, does Prey succeed?
I don't think so.
Oh, no. Okay, I mean, if you want to get into it, feel free, but I have questions for you.
Well, I was hoping that this was kind of like a Blair Witch Project experience where I came in fully loaded and had seen all the movies and, know most of the lore, not to like a severely nerdy degree. The key for this is if you are not necessarily a Predator fan, does this movie succeed in being what it purports to be, which is a new movie? This is the first Predator that comes to Earth, as confirmed by the director Dan Trachtenberg. For all intents and purposes, it should be absolutely new, right? And we should learn about this creature and the species in kind of a pure experience as I did with the original Predator. And that's what I was hoping for.
And what did you get?
I got direct quotes from the first movie. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Come on. It's like plagiarize. Like, you got to change the wording a little bit in your essay, right? To not get busted.
Put it in Comanche at least.
Right. And that's another thing. Like, we wanted this to be authentic, so to speak, or be a representation of Comanche peoples and culture and history and that kind of thing. And did you hear that there was supposed to be on Hulu an entirely Comanche version? Like a subtitled version entirely in Comanche?
That would make sense because it seemed like they did the thing in performance where they just gave alt lines, like they did the TV edit lines just back to back, but for some reason in this version they decided to include both the English and the Comanche.
Yeah, I don't know why. And I get it. It can be unwieldy. If you're looking to make a lowest common denominator Predator film that audiences will enjoy, maybe Comanche is not quite the way to go. Oh, we got to read? I don't want to read. Like, with the Passion of the Christ. A questionable choice, but if you're going to commit, then commit. The halfway was weird, and that all Comanche track, apparently, I couldn't find it on Hulu. We did try. I thought it might have made it slightly, at least, more substantive, and of course we have no problem with the subtitles, but it doesn't seem to exist. So we have this weird hybrid where she's like, no, dude, it totally killed a bear, like with its bare hands, like it killed that bear. And it's like strangely contemporary delivery. Like, I don't know how you sound more Comanche when you're speaking English. Maybe it's in the same tone or has an accent or something, but this didn't feel like it. Did it feel like it to you?
It didn't feel authentic when they were speaking English.
So what are you doing? I'm going to go kill that cougar or whatever.
It was a lion.
They're like, totally? And she's like, totally.
Not quite that bad. So a ton of dramatic irony going on here because we as the audience know a lot more about the Predator and its rules and its goals. And But were all the rules intact? What are the Predator rules?
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider canon, but generally speaking, Predator is actually not the correct title. The original film, as we mentioned in that discussion, was Hunter, and Hunter leads more closely to the idea that the Predator is seeking out the most challenging, effective prey, i.e. it will not attack you unless you're holding a weapon. And the Predator is just more like it preys upon weaker things, right? Where it just kills indiscriminately, which this one kind of did. But it got a little hazy and a little fuzzy, and that's what I was most concerned about. Whether or not this learning process that the Comanches had to undergo by way of attrition would have enabled them to figure out, in the same way that Dutch and his crew did in 1986, no, it views you as a threat when you're holding the weapon. Oh, like Naru's older brother says, it views me as the threat. He's the more formidable, presumably older, even though he's 3 years younger than Amber Midthunder, adversary. That's basically it. They're a sporting culture or planet, and the predators come to multiple planets and kill the most challenging prey.
So the Predator is basically on safari on Earth.
Exactly. Way more succinctly and eloquently put, and the lore extends so much so that as part of the canon for Predator, at least, the xenomorph aliens were created by the predators to be the ultimate adversary.
The xenomorphs are the Predator's pets?
Now, I've been working on this lore for like 20 years because this is what was established in Alien versus Predator or whatever. But of course, we get into all the Weyland-Yutani stuff, and the Alien franchise as a standalone has nothing whatsoever to do with Predator. But in the Predator franchise, aliens are definitely part of it. It's canon, and I had heard that that's where they came from. The xenomorphs were created to be the most dangerous prey, which is exactly what they're looking for. It's like a retcon kind of deal, because in Predator 2, which I don't think you've seen, right?
Nope.
This actually has tie-ins to Predators and Predator 2, most notably Predator 2, which I won't spoil for you, but definitely it ties in.
Please, spoil it for me.
All right, fine. So the flintlock pistol that she gives after getting it, from that guy wasn't French. He spoke French. I think he was Italian or something, and he was being used as a translator for the French. But Raphael, thank you. So he gives her the pistol, and that plays into Predator 2, where as a token of achievement, as a gift of respect, that gift is bestowed to someone else in Predator 2.
Oh.
But then there's all kinds of lore behind Raphael, and Raphael in Prey has nothing to do with the Raphael that was clearly established in Predator comics and has been since Predator 2, which is the 80s also. It's like 1990 for Predator 2. And so that lore exists, and this movie is just retconning all over the place. And I've hated that term for years now because I never understood its etymology. So today I looked up retconning.
Please enlighten me.
Is short for retroactive continuity. So you add a new thing into a movie which changes what had previously been established as the history or continuity for that thing, whatever it is, by saying, oh, the French guy gave her the pistol. And when he showed her, in exchange to how to use the pistol, right? He gave it to her, and then she ultimately presented it to her family. That's where that pistol came from in part 2, but that's not where it came from prior to Prey. And all of the stuff, that Anna talks about in the original Predator, how it came down every summer when it was the hottest or whatever. But Alien versus Predator establishes this junk as going on for thousands of years. And here in 1719 appears to be the first time a predator comes to Earth, etc. So it's confusing, and it just kind of plopped. Well, they're like, we need to put a Predator movie, we're going to set it in 1719, so we're going to plop it in the middle of all the history and lore and just retcon stuff.
Learn a new thing every day.
Yeah.
I mean, definite nerd term, but I'll try and work it in. Okay, so the gun, Raphael.
If it bleeds, we can kill it, in the mud and stuff. And those aren't retconning stuff. This is just throwbacks where they're like, it's a Predator movie, see? And Dan Trachtenberg, he originally produced and directed, I think he even wrote the script, and it was called The Cellar. The Cellar, about a little one-off group of people in a cellar. And Hollywood was like, you know what we should do? You know what we should do? We should connect it with Cloverfield. So it became 10 Cloverfield Lane. And in a way, this is 10 Cloverfield Lane of the Predator series. It's like a little movie about a different Predator with different stuff, but they keep drawing allusions to the original Predator and its sequels. And they're like, no, it's canon. See, no, it's supposed to be here. Did I lose you with the Cloverfield references?
I don't even need. Yeah, I don't know where to go with this.
You saw Cloverfield, and then Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane was part of the Cloverfield universe, but not really. Like, it didn't continue anything. It was like a side quest. And then the Cloverfield Paradox was another spec script that was like a space adventure. And they're like, no, we're going to make it a Cloverfield movie. I do feel like Prey was, I mean, obviously it is a Predator movie, but it feels more in the line of what was supposed to be a authentic Native American representation movie or whatever about having to fend off this adversary that they made sure fit firmly in the Predator mythos. I don't know, man. I'm wrong because I was like, yeah. And everybody is like, that was awesome. And there's people whose movie opinions I respect. They're like, I thought it was great. And it's highly critically reviewed or whatever. I just came in too loaded, I think. I wanted the stripped down experience. This was like, you know how the Batman is like darker and more gritty and less polished and less cartoony? That's what I wanted Prey to be for the Predator series. And like Batman, in a way, it was kind of unpleasant, a little bit dreary, kind of boring. I'm sad to say I didn't connect with any of the characters. Like for the first 30 minutes, I was like, boring. And it shouldn't have been. It should have been All Dances with Wolves. And I get that that's a different tribe of Native Americans. But the point is, I should have been compelled and cared about these people. And I just didn't.
Right, because it took about 45 minutes to actually introduce the Predator into the mix. I mean, he's there, but they don't meet.
Yeah, he shows up. And we see his little sparkling technology. I think they were like, hey, we improved on that, what is it, the camouflage gimmick that he does? We should make another Predator movie.
They used the camouflage and what is the word that describes the noise he makes?
I don't know. Predator click?
Ticking. Yeah, the camo and the sound effect a little bit. It was a little overkill.
A lot. Hey, did you know this is a Predator movie? We're going to make it clicky the whole time, and he's going to use that cloaking device nonstop.
Right. It's very selective. I mean, does he have rules about when he uses it? Because like he just likes to reveal himself for dramatic effect?
Yeah, Dan Trachtenberg's like, he should cloak right now. And they're like, he just did it. He's in a cave by himself. No, do the cloak thing. And so they
when
did
he's
it.
Standing in the mouth of the cave and then
Right?
he reveals himself?
Yeah. It's got this new thing where it's like all twitchy and red. And somehow when it's coated in the blood of wolves and bears, it can make that invisible too. Like he's drenched in blood and still becomes invisible. It was weird.
Well, that kind of revealed his shape finally to Nadu, but then it goes away. Here's some inconsistencies. Ready?
I'm ready.
What happened to the bear skull?
What happened to it?
Yeah. He takes the bear's head.
Uh-huh.
Right? Gives it an acid bath or something to reduce it to its skull. And then he hangs it on his belt, his trophy belt. And then what happens to it?
Don't know. He went and stuck it in the ship. Because as we saw in Predator 2, spoiler, there are lots and lots of skulls of lots of species, interplanetary, in the ship as trophies. It was a trophy. It's why he takes the skull and the wolf skull. And that's how in Predator 2 you see a xenomorph skull. And you're like, whoa. So I'm guessing he stopped by the ship and dropped it off. Where's that ship, by the way? That ship's still there? No, it dropped him off.
So Nadu's like hunting the lion.
Okay.
And then she falls off the tree. She falls out of the tree and then she appears in the teepee. Is it?
I don't know.
Can I say teepee?
I think
What
so.
happened?
I don't know. She got hurt and she was rescued. But if you look very closely, she did stick the cat in its side and it gets hurt and maybe it runs away, but ultimately her big brother kills it and says, at least, you hurt it, you helped me to kill it, it was because of you that I was able to do it. And
then because of his slaying of the lion monster, he becomes war chief?
Yeah, like that.
All right. So he had no problem he wanted to give her credit, but he had no problem taking it too.
Yeah, he did, but then he admitted later on because she's the brave one.
Okay. And so the fur trappers, the French group, they're the fur trappers, right? They're the ones that killed all the bison.
Buffalo, yeah.
Buffalo or bison?
Buffalo. She said, "You killed the buffalo." Like that was a surprise.
Okay. Well, I mean, the predator did skin the snake, so why would he not skin the bison?
Because he would use it for meat or whatever, and he obviously would have taken its head for a trophy.
Okay. They appear out of the mist, the French fur trappers.
Yep. Kelly goes, "Yep, here come the white people."
I mean, weren't they horseback? Wasn't their crew on horseback? How did they just stealthily appear all Comanche style?
I have no idea, because they are the war party, man. The French were the stinkiest, snarlingest, most animalistic. What was the other movie where this is like the zombie movies or any other movie like this where the humans are infinitely worse than they're of worse character than the monster? Like, the French might as well have been barbarians in this movie, right? We didn't care to know what they were saying. They weren't subtitled most of the time, and they're just like, ah, ah, and they're predator fodder.
How were they?
They're like, ah, ah.
I was wondering why they didn't subtitle them. How come, for our benefit, the Comanche always delivered the lines in Comanche and then in English? Like, why didn't the fur trapper? Yeah.
Because, I mean, look, we tried to do a thing, and we tried to have the Comanches be things from their perspective. But then we got the wonky perspective of the predator. And I think we still had scenes where the French, were doing their thing in absence of Naru or any of the Comanches. So they, had their own narrative, but she wasn't meant to understand what that was from either the French perspective or from the predator perspective. But we kind of know those things. We know that they would come in and desecrate or disrespect the Native American way of life and violate nature and kill the buffalo for the skins and not for the meat, and not use every piece or whatever. Except all that happened, what are we calling it? Colonization?
Yeah.
And all that stuff happened, the Indian massacres and the decimation of the buffalo populations, 150 years after this movie was set. So it doesn't quite track, but they were bad. They were predators in and of themselves, killed by the other predator.
Like predator for power versus predator for sport?
Yeah, it's like the food chain.
Somehow predator for sport's more clean or honorable.
And so this movie really wanted to be a battle of wits. Somebody translated some of the French stuff that wasn't translated via the subtitles for our benefit. And at some point they were, I forget if it was the French or the Comanche, were yelling at the predator and calling it a cheater for using all its technology. Like, you're going to come and outsmart your prey using automatic, neck-cutting swirly discs and shields and laser-guided arrows. That's not fair. It's kind of cheating. And we wanted this to be Naru in the mud with a bow and arrow killing this thing via her wits, as opposed to with weapons or superior technology. And that didn't track very well.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
Well, yeah, as soon as she gets into the quagmiry swamp quicksand thing,
yep,
my mind definitely went to Arnie in the mud. And so I thought that's where it was going, but it didn't.
Come on. That's stupid. Remember how complainy you were? The mud is going to mask him? That's stupid. And I'm glad that this movie went with the infinitely superior suggestion that she can use a plant to make herself cold. It's a hypothermia plant.
What's happening to me? I'm freezing.
Oh, man. Let me get this straight. The plant dropped her body temperature to get more or less the ambient. So the predator couldn't see her when she ate the flower.
Yes.
She went hypothermic, but still perfectly capable because of the plant she ate.
Yeah, plant. Even the dude she didn't have like the chills and convulsions that the dude had.
No.
She just ate some and got cold.
It's so dumb. It made me mad. And yeah, because we were thinking, oh, here it comes. Here's the mud. She's going to discover it organically or whatever, right? Because she fell into it, not because but no. But it did set up the trap for the end or whatever.
So was it a cheat? Let's talk a little bit about the Predator's arsenal. Did he always have the face shield?
Well, he eschews the traditional mask, and we don't know, because we didn't see any other Predators in this movie, we don't know if that was a standard for 1719 Earth time, or if he's just like the Rogue, if he's like Dirty Steve or whatever, who's like, I'm going to be the Predator that wears a bone on my face. And they're like, no, dude, the skulls are trophies. You don't wear them on your face. And Dirty Steve's like, I don't care what you guys say. I'm not going to do that stupid mask. I'm not going to wear the parrot gun thing. I'm going to do the tracking arrows, Dirty Steve style.
So the tracking arrows and the laser sights, those are all new?
Or old. Is it antiquated Predator tech from 300 years ago? Are they evolving in a weapon, as far as weapons are concerned, along with time on Earth? It was different. It was newer, probably less effective than the auto-aiming plasma shoulder-mounted gun. And, it didn't have a bomb, I don't think. And it was, I don't know, it was still all techie stuff. But instead of like the wrist blades and stuff, which it also had the shield and the random little killy discs.
So a lot of this stuff was new to us, but old tech.
As Predators go, presumably.
Gotcha. And so the Predators have since Prey done away with the laser-guided arrows and the shieldy, bladey, head-cutty-offy thing.
It would appear. Maybe this is like what's it called? Like the historical reenactments? Where this Predator, Dirty Steve, decided he was going to kill with a shield. And it's like him, like, I'm going to go kill a bear, but with a musket. You know what I mean? It'd be like a rich dude who's like, I only carry like 1888, like peacemakers and stuff. And
that was the joke, right? That all the French trappers, fur trappers, like unleash their ballistic fury on the Predator, and then they all have to pause and reload. That was the joke, right?
Yes, it was the joke. As opposed to the thousands of rounds in Mac's minigun, formerly Blaine's minigun.
Oh, from Predator, from the original Predator.
Right, where they can just cut down the forest with firepower.
Where it's just sheer beefcakeness.
Yeah.
Okay, so this movie doesn't have all the intrigue from Predator, the political stuff and the original mission and all that jazz. Does this have something more to it than just presenting a new prey for the Predator?
In a less is more sort of way, what they were going for, the idea was that Predator took place in a far-flung South American country, and it was just them using their wits in the jungle. And then Predator 2, spoiler, is like totally cityscape. I think it comes to LA. Then we tried to go back to that with Predators, which is barely canon as far as I'm concerned. The Predator, Shane Black, which I'm loath to even mention, was also in the city. The idea is that this is going back to the first film. Everybody says that it was as close to the first film. Dan Trachtenberg himself says it's going to be like the original and maybe even better. Take it easy there, Dan. But it was meant to be the same thing without being a retread. It was meant to expand upon it. This is a people who live off the land and by their wits. And thus she would be able to defeat the Predator on her home ground. Whereas Arnold and crew were displaced and they were basically on Predator turf for whatever that's worth, right? And that was the point, to take it back to the Earth and to take it back to a more simple Predator-prey kind of dynamic. And not sure if it worked. And the idea not to tread exactly as on the same ground, but to evoke it. Does it add anything new? It kind of tries to go back to the original while still keeping it somewhat fresh. And that seems to be the general reaction to Prey, that it has a lot going for it, as good as, or at least the best since the original. And I kind of got no problem with that, but I expected more.
Are all the Predators in all of the movies different Predators?
They look different. And you can't tell with the Predators how much is wardrobe and accessories and how much is natural body features. But they look crazy different. Some of them have crests of little horns. The coloring is vastly different. The jaws are different in shape and size. The eyes are different. They're still predators, but they're like variations.
Okay. So maybe that gives also some creative license to the gear that they carry, what their preferences are for their arsenal.
They have predator countries, and each country comes with its own distinct culture and weapons, maybe.
The general idea with indigenous peoples is that they lived more in harmony with the land. And though they may not have had ultra-sophisticated technology, i.e. guns or agrarian technology, they were very capable. And I think that is part of is that the missed opportunity for Prey, or is that where they wanted to kind of flip the script?
I fully believe, because the main party that the predator targets before the French come, they're all kids. They're not warriors who could join together, who could learn when one of theirs is taken. How did it happen? What was the failing? How can we rectify it? How can we band together against a superior adversary with superior technology, even if that word is not familiar? It kills us in ways we don't understand. How do we combat that? That's kind of what I wanted. I wanted hiding and tracking and Rambo-style ambushes in the forest
trapping.
And stuff. Yeah. I wanted it just to be, if you have to fight hand to hand, use your surrounding, use the trees like it does.
Use your home turf advantage.
It could have been a retcon learning experience for those predators. You know what I mean? We fought these adversaries at one time in 1719. They were like hiding in the trees and stuff and using their environs as camouflage and using the land. And that's what we're going to do moving forward. When you go, where are you going? Bob, which one? I'm going to, 86? And they're like, use the trees and stuff.
Dirty Steve's like, thanks for the tip.
He sends an email back home before he gets toasted.
And so I think maybe it's a missed opportunity, right? And not to discredit Naru, because she was obviously very capable and very strong, but generally women have to be adaptable because they can't rely on brute strength. That's why some women make better rock climbers, because they're used to using their entire body as opposed to just their upper body strength to like pull themselves up. And so I guess it just was a little bit less realistic or plausible that Naru would just kind of take out the predator in hand-to-hand combat. But overall, I thought that Amber Midthunder and the Naru character were very capable.
Amber Midthunder, great. Comanche representation, great. Still, this movie falls squarely in the middle for me in terms of its level of success. Was it the movie for all time for Comanches to celebrate? I don't know. Is Amber Midthunder going to be the breakout star from Predator? I don't know. Most people suggest that it's going to be Dakota Beavers who is the standout, who plays her brother.
In his theatrical debut.
But I don't know. Does this stand out as getting the Predator franchise on track after The Predator by Shane Black in 2016? I don't know. I kind of don't care, because what it comes down to is, does this stand alone? Does this serve as a worthy first entry in the Predator franchise chronologically? I'm not sure.
Did it move the franchise forward?
Not as far as I'm concerned, but most people seem to suggest that it got the Predator franchise back on track, at least as a marketable, lucrative franchise. And maybe that's the case. Hopefully we'll get a Predator ride through the jungle at whatever studio produced Predator. Fox. So maybe we'll get a Disneyland Predator ride. I like nature, and I like the idea that she would use kind of her surroundings against it or to her advantage. But as long as we're going to be in nature, and as long as we're going to do all that stuff and have this be a gritty, more grounded, down to earth, get it, kind of Predator movie, you got to come correct with the CG if we're not going to do real animals. And boy, did they not. My chief complaint with Predator 5 is that the CG was terrible. The wolf and the bear was terrible. The cat, fine. But when that bear went galumphing up the hill toward her, I was like, that is the worst CG bear ever. And the CG was so bad for me. They're like, no, this was meant to be a theatrical experience. And I watched it on my not small TV, granted, but still I took one look at the CG for the animals and I was like, oh, that's horrible. And it automatically busted the movie down to a 7 for me on that basis alone. It was unbelievable. It was not believable in terms of how those wild animals were represented. It was so bad that was a real dog, and I love dogs, and I wanted the dog to be the heroic character to bring her the accent and stuff, but when that dog was CG, I hated that dog. It was so bad I didn't like the dog in Prey. And then I'm sorry, I didn't love Amber Midthunder's acting, and that might have been because she waffled between English and Comanche so free and didn't try to affect whatever it was that 1719 English would have been in a Comanche community. I'm not sure. But it seemed like she was Amber Midthunder and not Naru. And the other guys were like, we're wearing makeup and war paint. Can't you tell that we're authentic Comanches? And go kill that lion, dude. What are you doing, dude? And they were not believable for me.
And so your final rating is?
Sorry, man. As much as people love it, I cannot say that Prey overall was a good movie. I love Predator, the Predator franchise. No, I like Predator, 1986, 1987. I like Predator. And I watch it all the time. I have almost no interest in watching this movie again, which makes me very sad. Official whatever rating.
Wow. A whatever from Wes, and I'm sad to say a boring from Iris. That's our review on Prey, available on Hulu, and our discussion on Predator available at orwhatevermovies.com or wherever you get podcasts. Speaking of orwhatevermovies.com, did you know that from orwhatevermovies.com you can link to our social media accounts, including Patreon, where you can support this podcast that you know and love. 818-835-0473 or whatevermovies@gmail.com.
Support us for not supporting Prey.
And let us know what you think. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Peter.
We're the founders of Electrocast Media, bringing you great podcasts like Nightmare Road Stories, Tech Talk Revolution, and Bodacious Minds.
Electrocast networks include Ruby for female empowerment, the Best Business Network, and GPN for geopolitics. We built this company to create community and amplify diverse voices, and we really appreciate your support.
So, keep listening to Electrocast podcasts and hear the culture.
Electrocast. Electrocast.
Welcome to Tuning Into Sound Wellbeing, where we harmonise your mind, body and soul. I'm Amanda, your sound therapy expert.
And I'm Stephen, the curious explorer uncovering the mysteries of sound.
Together we explore vibrations, frequencies and the power of sound therapy and tuning forks.
Discover ancient wisdom, reduce stress and tune into a healthier life. Subscribe to Tuning Into Sound Wellbeing today.
Electrocast.